Stop your thread base a quarter of the way down the shank. Take a healthy clump of body material and a small clump of angel's hair and mix it in together. Then take it and tie it in where you left your bobbin a quarter of the way down the shank. Make one loose wrap before pulling it tight and then finish tying it in. Don't be afraid if some of the body and angel's hair start to pull out. Once it's tied in, trim up the tag ends. Pretty much you just want to make sure that none of the ends are sticking out past the eye of the hook. Everything else will be finished tied in and hidden away. Now we're going to take a smaller, mixed white clump and tie it in directly on the other. Cut the end that you're going to tie in. That way all the material is nice and even. Just like before, make a loose wrap and then pull it tight and finish tying it in. The only difference is we're not going to cut the tag ends. We're going to pull them back and tie them in, leaving the tag ends pointing up. What this will do is hold up the next clump of material we tie in above it. Mix together whatever color lateral line body material you choose to use and the angel's hair like we did with the white. Cut the ends flush on the side we're going to tie in. Then hold it directly above the white and make a loose wrap before pulling it tight. Then make a couple more thread wraps. Then pull those tag ends back and tie them in. You can see by pulling back the tag ends, leaving them long and tying them in, how it kind of makes your fly look taller. This is why we're not cutting any of them and leaving them all intact. That way this fly has a nice tall profile in the water. This time we're not going to mix any flash in. Take a very small clump of the black body material, cut all the ends even and tie it in on top of the yellow. Make one loose wrap before sliding the materials back flush with all the other ones and then continuing to tie it in. Don't worry if you actually pull it out of your thread wrap. Just continue to hold on to it the entire time. Once you've got a good couple tight thread wraps around it, you can now let it go. By doing this, we don't have to worry about cutting the tag ends as close to the thread as possible. Once you've built up a little bit of a head, you can now throw in a whip finish and cut your bobbin free. Before moving on to the eyes, make sure you run a brush through the fly and get any loose material out. We are going to attach our 3D eyes. Have them overlap your built-up thread head and down the side of the body material. After placing your first eye, rotate the fly in the vise and attach your second eye, making sure they line up nicely with each other. Then press them together with your thumb and pointer finger. Before adding any epoxy, just double check and make sure they're lined up, because once you apply epoxy and cure it, the eyes are going to be set in place. Now take a thick UV cure and fill one side completely up before moving to the other side. By doing one side 100% and curing it, You'll make it so the gap stays the same and they don't move around. Use your bodkin to evenly distribute the UV cure before hitting it with your UV light. Now rotate your vise or flip your fly around. Take your UV thick and fill up the bottom gap. Once it's full, take your bodkin yet again and even it out. Once your UV epoxy is smoothed over, cure it with the UV light. Now take some UV thin or flow with a brush applicator and apply it both over the eyes and just past the eyes onto the body material. By doing this, this will totally encase the 3D eyes in epoxy. The reason we do this is because it's going to make it so it's harder for the eyes to fall out and make your fly just that much more durable. Then cure it with your UV light. Don't be afraid of adding a second coat, and then rotate the fly and repeat all the steps on the opposite side.